Welcome to the Dark Side Podcast.
Thanks, everyone. This is the Dark Side Podcast. My name is Bruce Schwartz. I study ufology. I have a space channel. You're here right now on it. I hope you're enjoying it. But aside from that, there's another subject that really interests me. And not just because I enjoy talking about spirits or shadows, but I've encountered some. And I've had some pretty intriguing encounters and experiences throughout my life. Not every day, right? As for me, I've encountered and had events around me happening maybe 7, 8 times, 9, 10 times, like big events. And when I say big events, I'm talking about an actual being in front of you, seeing a figure, like an actual encounter with either an alien or maybe some of you prefer calling them spirits, demons. Some of you say angels. You must agree with me, some of you most likely, that I believe spirits are not just good. They can be evil. I believe it. They can be demonic entities, of course, right? We have demonic human beings here on Earth. Pretty sure there may be some demonic entities. And the scary part is that if an entity would be demonic and it's an entity that's not coming from our realm, you can only imagine, and your imagination can actually really get the best of you when you start saying, well, what dimension is this being from? It's a demon. Like, for example, I've not seen anything with horns or anything. What I saw was a shadow. And it was my friend's shadow that literally became stiff and did not move with my friend anymore. Turned around and looked at it. His shadow was looking down, 2 hands on each side, clenching fists. Then his head started changing, but it was actually a hat that was forming. That shadow from my friend became another entity. The other entity couldn't physically walk towards us, but he was standing on the wall, seen because of 3 lit candles, and went across the ceiling when he left the wall. Yeah, we couldn't see him walking around in the room, right? So my friend kicks the candles. Bad idea. Now we're plunged into darkness. Let's get into a little bit of the relationship, because I'm going to cut this story off. I've spoken a lot about it before, but I don't want to make the podcast just about my experience and events. I'm sure you will be interested. There's a little bit of a history with shadows and with portals, and if you do a little bit of research, check us out. The concept of other dimensions and beings that exist within them have fascinated. So the concept of the other dimensions and beings that exist within them have fascinated me my entire life, for sure. It's fascinated humans for centuries, and we can tell by reading back. It's believed that there are parallel universes, and this is, I'm going to say, strictly theoretical, even if it maybe isn't. We're talking here amongst ourselves together. You're listening to me, but anyways, I'm talking a mile a minute. Universes, parallel universes, or alternate realities. So alternate realities on top of it, where different versions of ourselves and the world around us can exist with differences. In these other dimensions, it's said that there are beings that live and thrive like us here. Same thing, just like in our dimension. However, one of the most intriguing aspects of these other dimensions, they say, is the ideal of shadows that move beings across the divide. And that's where I got really intrigued because of my experience with what I call, yes, a real shadow being. I'm not afraid of my shadow at all. But you know what? I will never, ever ask for it to move. We did, all three of us. I did, while all three of us were together. Me and my two best friends back in the days were very spiritual. All three of us were always very spiritual, talking about the other side, talking about, ghosts existing and, ancient burial sites and whatnot. Much like a lot of us and some of you here, like me, are very interested in. But dimensions is the ideal of shadows that move beings across the divide. Guys, when I saw the shadow of my friend stop moving like my friend, but yet his shadow still remained there, when my friend moved away, his shadow remained in that same boxed in area. He moved over to the right. He went forward to the shadow. All three of us did. And when he went forward towards the shadow was afraid. That's where my mind started putting two and two together, guys. That literal person that was in another realm, either through God, guys, through magic, through witchcraft, you can't help but think it could be something demonic. Never thought that the beings that I encounter are demonic, but my friend, whether he had skeletons in his closet or whatever they call it, they, possessed or something, there was something to that. My friend has acted oddly. He's admitted it himself. St. Polycarp, where I told you we saw those spirits. Yes, I saw the spirits, but he sort of got possessed by something and got very violent at one point. And it's not to be fooling around with these entities and whatnot, but some of us are the ones that were visited by these beings. As for me, it's not me that is doing any magic or incantation. So why would I think that, something demonic could be involved in what happened? And I think I'm going to talk about this several times, probably my second or third time I think I talk about this, but it's so intriguing, guys. That shadow started changing, had its own clothes on, and started looking left and right. And I couldn't help but look at my friend when he was looking at his feet, my friend himself, and like brushing his clothes off or something, like trying to see the shadow do the same thing. The shadow was not doing the same thing. And the shadow was panicking the frickin' hell out. Panicking, shaking. And he was looking left and right. And then he started grabbing stuff in front of himself, which, hello, it's in his dimension. So, no, I'm not a guy that, is pushing these things that everyone's been talking about before I was born, right? Everything I just mentioned here, I'm sure you've heard about it. The shadows, the divide, going to the other side. But hang on here. There's something really to that I saw that shadow become itself, but with my friend's reflection. But my friend had no more shadow. No more shadow. The shadow had become independent. I told him the next day, I literally asked him and called him, and I said, please let me know this evening, which was the next day. I said, bro, let me know, please, if you see your shadow. Let me know if your shadow is normal. Okay, I got really worried, and I said the guy must be possessed or something, but no, it was like something had taken over, not him, but just that light. and the shadow. Shadows have always been associated with mysteries and the unknown. They are very elusive and they are always changing and can be changed, therefore making them the perfect vessel in reality for transportation, right? To, to the other side, transporting beings between dimensions. There's a way to get across. If you can become that light, it's that process that's missing. It could be a technique. It's very scary to think of it because it could be a natural process. It could be a sorcery. It could be done with the electromagnetic frequency, like they did with the Philadelphia Project, where they sutured the soldiers to that boat, teleported it to another area, another port. This is all very, very real. But the secret projects that are being done, nobody has access to that except for the people that are being experimented on, and the ones that work on these secret projects. Do I have to repeat? How many times have I said it with my research? These projects are compartmentalized. But I'm telling you, there's something to it. There is another side, and yeah, we're being watched. Put a pair of pants on. We can laugh about it, right? I often laugh at that one. But it's serious. I think it's really serious. It's believed that these shadows can act as a gateway, connecting our dimension to other dimensions. Think of it. They can also be found, guys, in the corners of our eyes. Ever think you saw something but missed it? Don't look too hard. I'm telling you. Flickering in the darkness, or even manifesting as objects or, figures. I've shown you sparks inside of my house appearing. I've seen pretty much all of it. I've seen the orbs. I've seen the fire, mist, the smell of rotting flesh. I mean, how can you, I'll be honest with you, never believe that I had seen anything evil except for once. And that other time that I just mentioned, where I could smell this dead meat, literally roadkill, but right under my nose with a little wind and the feeling that someone's watching you. I've encountered these things, but I have a good protection around myself. I can envision the protection that I have around me, which, by the way, that's all you have to do. You don't even have to burn any incense. Well, maybe get informed more about the incense. Is it actually helping? If you're strong enough, and I'm sure you are, you can protect yourself with the power of anything you want around you. Whether you want to say power of God or power of Shamal or the power of the universe. Protect yourself. Think good thoughts. Repel any bad entities that can be around you. I was a young age and I wanted to be a portal, a gateway to the other side, because my dad had passed away, my grandfather, and I wanted to stay close to him. I still remember it. And I asked God, 6.5 years old, maybe now 7 or 8, God, I want to be a portal, a doorway to the other side, to be able to have my dad continue to come back and see me, because I had had some encounters with him. And, like in a science fiction movie, it really is a beautiful story, because those of you that miss your loved ones that have passed on, I can confirm to you that they could possibly still be listening, but I know that there is another side where they go to. And when they go to the other side, they don't necessarily change that much, right? We leave the physical world, but how can they come back? Through the light. You know why? Have you ever heard go towards the light? Well, also, when somebody dies and your soul leaves your body, is it not a light that leaves your body and goes out into the darkness, to space? So if you're to come back from the other side, you will also go into the light and then cross into the physical world. Must be the darkness for them. How do we talk about the aliens, how they would see us if extraterrestrials existed on other planes, or let alone even other dimensions coming here? Would they be able to see us properly, or would they see us like photonic light, blinding light? Other dimensions. The same reason why I believe that I was seeing that whoever or whatever on the other side as a shadow and not as a physical form. But I'm telling you, I was brave enough to go up really close, and he started getting nervous. He saw all three of us moving and looked left and right. And I'm saying, if he's looking left and right, whoever or whatever that thing was not able to leave the room it was in. Sorcery or not, I don't know. It was creepy. But then the shadow advanced and just quite simply went over the ceiling. Like in a Dracula movie where you see Dracula's going up the stairs, yet the shadow's crawling up the wall. It was incredible. And this isn't a podcast to scare people. And it's not a podcast to say the scariest thing to try to impress people. I experienced this. And at the same time, I've experienced this at least a couple of events like this, just as intriguing and just as scary, but with those two same friends. He lost, and his brother lost a brother that was run over by a tractor, and me, my father, in a tragic accident. So could it be that? Could it have to do with that? He was young when he lost his brother. They were both young. I was young when I lost my father. I missed my father, and they were best friends with that brother. So think of it. They still talk to him. They even now, after he's passed on, and they're still getting signs from him. It's been a while. I haven't seen him in years, but yeah, it's something that lasted a very long time. And when we were all together, all three of us, and we talked about my dad and his brother, we'd see them. We'd see apparitions. I didn't literally see my dad, though. Not with him. It's just apparitions. Like lights and shadows and stuff. Even now I'm talking about it, and little odd things, weird things happen. I saw a little spark in the corner. I don't see anything of this as demonic. Energy is energy, right? And I think energy is shared by whether you're good, you're evil, or anything. We're all sharing that same spark, I guess, or energy. And maybe we perceive it as fire. Other animals might not see it as fire, might see it as a mist. We all have different eye cells, right? Different wavelengths in our eyes. So imagine having a wavelength to be able to see all the shadows and everything around us. But I'm telling you, don't stare too long at your shadow, because it might just stop and look back at you in a different way. Entities can appear as living organisms that are undescribable. Just blobs. Like, for example, like the jellyfish that I showed you around the moon. If you haven't seen that, check that out. But it's true. They can manifest themselves, not necessarily in any shape or form, but we can see a manifestation of shapes or forms. Why would somebody see a ghost dressed in old clothing? There's a problem with that. Because now we're talking about something completely different. We're talking about something about time travel or in the past, a moment in the past that somebody sees, an instance in the past of somebody dying, a tragic moment that is for some reason being relived all the time. Does that not scare you? How can that even be? If the person is not alive or still here, or it's not the person, him or herself, that's actually stuck there, why would that reoccur? Like, think of it. When you see a ghost, I would never think that I would see someone in old clothes, because that could be totally not someone dead. You're literally looking at someone in the past, but at the moment that he's living presently. It's a little odd. It's actually hard to wrap my mind around it. Now, I'm not reading any of this there. I hope, so if it sounds crazy, don't wonder why. It's out of my head. But do you know, when you look outside and you see a shadow in a wide field, when you go for a walk and you go up to that line of the shadow, it's going to be not very well defined, because it's like running, the darkness, the shadows running into the light. Well, you know what? Exactly where that shadow runs into the light, there's energy there. And you see the oscillation, just like the Terminator line on the moon. You can see the oscillation, the movement, the fizzing of the reaction of the darkness touching the light. Light is energy. And hear me out, it's going to sound crazy, but if light is energy, is energy not life? Is energy not alive? I believe when you die, this is what I'm trying to say, you become energy. And when you become energy, well, you just tapped into the main stream of energy. If there's only one energy, there's not a good energy and a bad energy. There's only one energy. Some people try to use good energy, pure energy, and convert it to evil energy. Use it for bad reasons, right? But there's only one energy, right? Which is stronger, light or darkness? If you're for light, you're illuminated, and your way is clear, your path is clear because of the light. If you're in darkness and doing evil things like sorcery and demonic things, or wishing death to people and whatnot, well, you're in darkness. And if you're in darkness, you're not going to see anything, and your path won't be illuminated, and you won't get to the end of your path. You'll be, lost in a dark corridor. If I told you I knew all this at 6.5 years old, would you believe me? I was told all this shit. It's not something, I'm not smart enough to find out all this stuff. I didn't have to find anything out. I saw it. And when you see something, even if you don't have an explanation for something, if you see something, if you perceive something that defies reality, or maybe something you weren't supposed to see, it pretty much explains everything. Seeing a shadow of a person, stop moving with that person. You say, well, hang on a minute. It's a reflection. Reflection will always move with everything and anything with a light source on it, right? But the problem is, light is energy. Light is the entry portal to the physical realm. I've had many visions that the sun could be an entry portal to the physical realm. And I'll be honest with you, it's probably not the only portal. And if they're coming in by an energy source, which by this point is not myth anymore, I think, right? Because in reality, they need energy to come in. But that's where it starts getting so bloody interesting, because we're talking paranormal researching and we're talking ufology. So now the ghostly, other dimension-like theory and story and this podcast, now we could almost add aliens in that, right? So then it just mixes us up even more, and you say, well, you know, are these aliens coming into this dimension, and it's not, dead people? Or is it both? Or is it included also people in a parallel world? If, again, just a theory, I'm not that bent on the parallel world, honestly. Like, I mean, why would I say that? Until I see myself, like, I don't know. Like, if I see a spirit arrive in my house and it's me, okay, well, it takes a whole other turn. I'm going to say, well, time travel or something, right? But, probably it's not going to happen. I hope the hell not, when you think of it. But what is it about shadows that make them capable of moving between dimensions? Some theories I've heard suggest that shadows apparently are just made up of dark matter, right? Well, that's scary, aren't they? Making dark matter here on Earth and possibly on the moon. And dark matter could actually be what they are using for their UFOs to be propelled, their propulsion systems. That's right. In theory, dark matter can be used to fuel a spacecraft that travels between the stars. Pretty cool, eh? Yeah. A mysterious substance, it definitely is, that makes up a large portion of the universe. It is believed that this dark matter can create ripples in the fabric of space-time, and this allowing for the movement of beings between dimensions with that flowing of rippling of space and time. What do you think of that? This is not a science book there. This is my brain, so I even wrote some of this down. I am so fascinated by the other side, guys. And not because I want to meet them. Honestly not. It's the fact that one experience of me, that one time, one of many times, seeing my friend's shadow move. It defies all reality, guys. It makes almost no sense. There has to have been a manipulation for that entity to take over a shadow. It's fascinating. Others believe that shadows are simply a manifestation of energy. Well, it definitely is energy. And beings on the other side, right? They say have learned, this is,
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
I'm not talking to you, sweetheart. Oh my goodness. What was I talking about now? Now I'm totally lost. Siri, see, this is why I live alone. Okay. I was saying that others believe that shadows are simply a manifestation of energy, and beings on the other side have learned how to manipulate this energy to travel between dimensions. So those people on the other side could actually, after they die, evolve, but actually know that they're in a place where is away from Earth, and maybe even have a way to actually get back. Get back to where you once belonged. Whatever the reason, maybe the idea of shadows as a means of transportation, love it, has been explored in various cultures, I'm telling you, and many belief systems. In ancient Egyptian mythology, shadows were seen as the gateway to the afterlife, literally. So I am mesmerized about this. I really am. Imagine that long ago saying that it's a gateway to the afterlife. Guys, that tells me that somebody else had the same experience as me thousands of years ago, and that it never stops. Apparently with the god, Egyptian god Anubis, guiding souls, get this, through the shadows to land of the dead. In Celtic folklore, it's believed that fairies, I have a hard time with that one, but then again, I believe in little creatures, right? Whatever. And other supernatural beings can use shadows to travel between their world and ours. So there is something to the shadows. For example, you're walking and your shadow beside you, maybe through the head of the shadow, something as big as 1 millimeter comes out of a portal and flies away, and you'd never know it. Does it sound that crazy? Not really. Not for me anymore. Not for me anymore. I think I'm not even touching base on a small part of the whole secret, you know. Other supernatural beings can use shadows to travel between their world and ours, apparently. Imagine that. But what about the beings that are being moved by these shadows? Who are they? Like, are they deceased? Or is it just their thing that they are intelligent beings that travel between dimensions, like whoa, like Star Trek, like sort of thing? This, like, I have a hard time wrapping my mind around it, honestly. I could talk about this. I could do a 6-hour podcast just sitting, looking at my Yeti microphone like I'm doing right now, and just there's so much I want to say. There's so much I want to talk about. There really are other worlds. All the people that are closed-minded, wake up. There are other worlds. There are people all around us. The people that have passed on still have, possibly in theory, some type of connection with the physical world. Who says that they're not still in the physical world? Maybe it's not our physical world, but it could be still another physical world. Could it not? I never thought I would have encountered a being, several beings, from the land of the dead. But it's actually reassuring, more normal, that there is another life, an afterlife. It makes you want to do the best you can in this life. And that if you fuck up, I guess you get another chance in another life. Hoping that you're not going to come back and start all over, though. I wonder. There are also theories that suggest that these beings are not just randomly moving between dimensions. They say that others believe that they are entities from other dimensions who are drawn to our world for many various reasons. Very interesting, is it not? Such as studying our way of life, seeking refuge, possibly, from their own troubled dimensions. That's a thought that really comes to my mind. Maybe they themselves are stuck, and they have to come here, inhabit Earth, for example, and be amongst us, less civilized. Well, we're civilized, so to say, but less intelligent. And it's not about just the intelligence. If they can manipulate a way of camouflage and hide themselves, it's like anyone who goes invisible wins. That's the end, right? You go invisible, you win. There are also, as I was saying, theories out there that suggest that these beings are not just randomly moving between dimensions. They could actually be influencing events. And guys, they could be shaping our entire system and world from behind the scenes. A lot of you think like that too. I do too. I think it's possible. It's said that they possess also advanced knowledge, well, and technology. Do they or do they not? Are they more advanced than us? Are we more advanced than them and we're the ones attacking that race? I don't know. Apparently their movements through the shadows may be a way for them to manipulate and guide our dimension towards a certain outcome. But again, just hearsay. The idea of shadows that move beings between dimensions opens up a whole new realm of possibilities and questions. Trust me. It also challenges yours and my understanding, guys, of the world, and forces us to contemplate the vastness. Okay? Do you hear what I said? To contemplate the vastness of the universe. I still can't wrap my mind around it. And the endless possibilities that exist beyond our own dimensions. Listen, the universe could have another universe on the other side that is 3 trillion times larger than this universe here. What would you think of that? And if there's 17 other ones beside that, wow. Can you imagine the possibilities of everything that could be out there? Whether these beings are good or evil, whether they're traveling for their, I don't know, own purposes, or maybe trying to save Earth. These are all possibilities. One thing is for sure is that the shadows, I guarantee you, will continue to intrigue and fascinate me for the rest of my life, reminding you and I that there's so much more to the world than what meets the eye.